Ralph Macchio was all smiles when he first walked onto the set of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, greeted by thunderous applause and a warm handshake from the host. What was supposed to be a light-hearted interview about his new film quickly spiraled into something no one saw coming. Stephen started by praising The Karate Kid, noting its legacy and its cultural footprint, to which Macchio responded graciously. But the mood shifted when Colbert, known for his playful jabs, cracked a joke comparing Cobra Kai's latest season to nostalgia served cold. Ralph chuckled politely, but his eyes narrowed. "Well, it's not just nostalgia, Stephen," he said, leaning forward. "It's also damn good television." The audience laughed, sensing tension, but unsure of the direction this would take. Colbert, unbothered, tried to steer back to comedy, but Ralph wasn't in the mood for mockery. And that was just the beginning of a conversation that quickly turned into a full-blown standoff. Colbert, amused by Macchio's serious tone, doubled down with another sly comment. "Maybe Johnny Lawrence should host your next press tour. He's got more charisma these days." The joke landed hard. Ralph's smile disappeared and he raised an eyebrow. "Is this what you do? Invite guests on to insult them?" he asked. There was an audible gasp from the audience. Stephen laughed nervously and tried to smooth things over, saying, "Come on, Ralph, it's all in good fun." But Macchio wasn't having it. "If you think undermining 40 years of work is funny, then maybe you should rethink your material." Stephen adjusted in his seat, now fully engaged, in what was becoming less of a conversation and more of a debate. "I'm just pointing out that people love to relive the past," he replied. Ralph shot back, "And some of us are building on it, not ridiculing it." The room grew tense, laughter now replaced with awkward silence. Trying to lighten the mood, Colbert brought up a recent clip from Cobra Kai, but Ralph interrupted. "Let's not pretend you care about the show. You clearly came in with an opinion." The crew behind the cameras shuffled nervously, and the producers exchanged glances. Stephen, slightly flustered but still composed, said, "Ralph, you're reading too much into a joke. That's what this show is." Ralph leaned back, arms crossed. "Then maybe this isn't the right show for me." A murmur passed through the crowd. Colbert offered a weak smile and said, "Look, if I offended you, that wasn't my intention. But I do satire. This is what I do." Ralph nodded slowly. "Satire's fine, disrespect isn't." The two locked eyes, and for a moment, the air felt electric. A celebrity guest and a late-night host in a public power struggle wasn't the kind of drama anyone expected, but no one could look away. The exchange became more surreal when Ralph stood up, clearly debating whether to walk off set. The camera stayed on him while Colbert tried to salvage the interview. Okay, Stephen said, hands up. "Let's reset. Let's talk about your new movie. What's it called again?" Ralph, still standing, looked down at him. "It's called Legacy Bound, but maybe you should read your prep notes next time." The burn hit hard, and the crowd gave a mixed reaction of laughter and groans. Stephen, now visibly annoyed, took a sip of his coffee and said, "You know, Ralph, I had no idea you were this sensitive. That did it." Ralph turned to the crowd and said, "I'm not sensitive, I'm just not here to be the punchline." He started walking off. A producer tried to intervene, but he waved them off. Colbert, still at his desk, muttered, "Well, that's a first." The camera cut to black for a commercial break. Backstage, the chaos didn't slow down. Ralph's team was already preparing a statement, and Colbert's producers debated whether to cut the entire segment. Meanwhile, fans on social media, who had caught the live taping, started tweeting what they saw. Macchio just walked off. Colbert, Stephen went too far. Ralph is the new Kanye. The hashtags trended within the hour. Macchio vs. Colbert, Karate Clash, sweep the set. Back on the show, after the break, Stephen tried to return with a quick joke. "Well, folks, I think we learned the crane kick still has some force." The crowd laughed hesitantly. He continued with the next segment, but the energy had shifted. Viewers at home were already rewinding their DVRs. What started as a quirky interview became the most talked-about late-night moment in months. The studio tried to spin it, but it was clear something real and uncomfortable had gone down. Later that night, Clips of the encounter exploded online. Fans dissected every moment, from Ralph's initial eye roll to his final walk-off. Media, analysts weighed in. Some said Ralph overreacted, others said Colbert crossed a line. Pundits on entertainment shows like ET Tonight and TMZ Live scrambled to book insiders who could spill more. One crew member anonymously reported that Ralph had warned producers he didn't want any gotcha jokes before going on stage. They ignored it, the crew member said, so he walked. The PR machine kicked in fast. Ralph's rep released a short but firm statement. Mr. Macchio stands by his belief that legacy projects deserve respect. He regrets that the tone of the interview didn't reflect that. Colbert's team said only, "We respect Ralph and wish him the best." The lack of an apology didn't go unnoticed. Fans picked sides. Debates raged. It wasn't just about two men. It became a war over dignity, media, and memory. The next morning, Ralph appeared on Good Morning America in a surprise interview. He was calm, composed, and dressed in a crisp navy suit. When asked about the Colbert incident, he didn't mince words. "I believe in respect, especially for the things we've built over decades. I've always embraced humor, but there's a difference between laughing with someone and laughing at their work." The host nodded solemnly. Social media exploded. Again, this time with support. Fans began tweeting clips from the Karate Kid praising Ralph for standing up for himself. Colbert's fan base responded with memes, suggesting Macchio had lost his cool over a joke. But the conversation had shifted. What's the line between comedy and mockery? Critics of Colbert noted that late-night comedy had become increasingly mean-spirited, more about one-upmanship than interviews. Ralph, perhaps unintentionally, had started a bigger conversation about entertainment culture. Behind the scenes, Colbert was reportedly furious, not at Ralph, but at how the network was handling the backlash. CBS executives had ordered a re-edit of the interview for future rebroadcasts, trimming the most intense parts. Colbert felt this undermined his creative control. He reportedly told his writers, "If we can't be real, what's the point?" Meanwhile, Ralph's camp announced that he would no longer do late-night appearances for a while, focusing instead on podcasts and independent press. The fallout extended beyond two careers. Guests began requesting content approval clauses before going on The Late Show. Writers were told to tone down their monologues. The whole machine paused for breath. What was once a breezy, celebrity-laden ecosystem had been shaken, all because one actor refused to laugh off a legacy that meant too much to him to let it be the butt of a joke. In the weeks that followed, both men quietly moved on. Colbert with new guests and sharper writing. Ralph with a series of indie press interviews where he was treated like royalty. But the ghost of the clash lingered. Clips of the walk-off were immortalized in reaction videos, fan edits, even TikTok reenactments. A skit on SNL poked fun at the event, with one cast member playing Macchio storming off after being asked if Mr. Miyagi would have voted Democrat. Ralph didn't comment publicly, but he did post a cryptic quote on Instagram. "Respect yourself enough to walk away from anything that no longer serves you." It got 500,000 likes. Colbert, on his side, kept things subtle, occasionally referencing touchy guests in his opening jokes. But audiences could tell the show had shifted slightly, more careful, less chaotic. Whether that was good or bad depended on who you asked. Months later, during a panel at a streaming summit, Ralph addressed it one final time. "Look, I don't hate Stephen. I don't even think he meant harm. But we have to stop pretending that sarcasm is a substitute for substance. There's room for both." The crowd applauded. It wasn't a dramatic mic drop, it was just a man drawing a line. Colbert, in a later interview with Variety, offered his own final thought. "Maybe I misread the room. Maybe Ralph was just having a tough day. Or maybe I need to remember that even legends have limits." The host and the actor never appeared together again. But the moment they shared became a case study in celebrity culture, ego, and empathy. It was never just about a joke. It was about how far a man would go to defend his story, and how the world watched, reacted, and remembered.